So David Arms, the creator of HWA, which is a healing modality that he created. I met David through my friend Rachel Chamness, who is at soundwavesheal.com. I'm sure y'all following me or following her. A lot of us know each other. And I've had a really cool experience with David, and I love that his sessions are really immediate and really accessible. They've been really helpful to my family. He's worked on everyone in my family. And we do most of it through text messaging, which is I just love the accessibility of it, and the efficiency of the healing, and there's just like a profound simplicity to it that's really, really grounding and really supportive. A lot of times with healing, we can get overwhelmed with information, we can get spun out, we can get in our heads with things, and getting that like simple answer, that quick, efficient response, that it doesn't really matter all of that stuff. What matters is that we have a result, and that we're moving forward. And that's really helpful to me in so many ways. One story I want to tell recently is that a few weeks ago, my husband came down with, it seemed like he was really sick. I mean, and it came on really fast. He was like sweating and like felt like he was going to throw up, and like that he had some kind of horrible flu. Like, I don't know what it was, but he seemed like he was so sick. And I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, so when that happens, I automatically reach out to David. When anybody in my family gets sick, I'm like, fix this. And he worked on him, and literally he was better within an hour. He said that he removed a hex or a curse from him, and it literally like shifted him, and like immediately. It was amazing. And like lots of the sessions have been amazing, lots of the sessions have been cool, but that one was so quick, and he went seriously from being in this horrible state to being like perfectly fine, and it was crazy. I think it made a believer out of him too, because he was just like, wow. It was really cool. So without further ado, David, I would love for you to introduce yourself a little bit and just tell everyone how you came to be a light worker, how you came to be on this path.
Okay. Well, I'm David. And when I started this, I didn't know I was starting it. I had a job where I was, I don't know, it was like almost a 24/7 kind of position. And I was battling headaches before that started. And then, of course, once I got into that, I ended up migraines and battling with that whole mess. And I had a couple of friends of mine hit me up one day. They said, we heard about this chiropractor we think you need to see. He does energy work. Well, before that, if I had a migraine coming on, or if I had a migraine, if I could get a chiropractor to adjust that very top joint in my neck, most of the time it would go away, but it would be back within 4 days. The tension would slowly increase until I had another migraine. So I was at the shop one afternoon and I get a text from them and said, you need to turn out the lights, lock the doors. We'll be in the parking lot to pick you up in like 5 minutes. You don't normally do me that way, but I let them. And we loaded up and went to Greenville. And I met this guy who was a chiropractor, and he was actually doing, I want to call it hands-on show and tell kind of thing that evening. And he put me on the table, had me think about a couple of different emotions, hold my breath a certain way or not, look certain ways. And he held contact points. And within about 2 minutes, he had me sit up. He had me on the chiropractic table. He had me sit up and he slapped me on the back, said, you should feel much better, my friend. When I turned my neck, there was absolutely no restriction whatsoever. And I was on my 4th day after having had a chiropractic adjustment when I got there. So I had a migraine coming on when I got in there, and it was just like gone within moments. And I'm thinking, something about that ain't right. I'm a logical guy and hands-on. I've always fixed stuff, made stuff. And this didn't make any sense to me. So needless to say, I started looking into it. I started getting regular sessions with him, and he was doing what's called BEST. So if you look it up on the internet, it's B period, E period, S period, T period. It's some good stuff. But I ended up, they opened the door for just the general person to be able to take the training. And before that, it had always been, you had to be licensed chiropractic or nurse or something in that realm. So when they opened that door up, of course, I was sitting there and ready, and I took their basic training, which was really basic, but it gave me the ability to connect to spirit and start getting information. And I was actually helping somebody later on. Their father had committed suicide, and he's having a really tough time with it. So I got in there and I was trying to see what I could do to help him with it. And I hear a female voice over my left shoulder, loud and clear, said, "There's a better way." Me being the logical guy, I look around, there's nobody there but he and I. And I thought, well, the only variable in this was the energy. So I went back into the energy and asked, "Was that you?" And I got a loud and proud yes. And I'm thinking, well, if you can do this, lead the way, let's see. So needless to say, they've been guiding me in some really cool places ever since, and started actually working on myself. And that was kind of interesting because when I first got into this, they basically had you thinking you had to have someone else work on you. And this chiropractor, I'm gonna call him my mentor, he and I were talking one day, and I said, "Well, Doc, I work on myself." And he said, "Well, you can't do that." And I said, "Well, how am I doing it?" He said, "Huh." Instead of being closed-minded, he looked at it and went, "Well, I don't know. How do you do that?" And I showed him, and he started doing it, and he's like, "Oh my God, you can do it. You can work on yourself with this." So needless to say, it grew, and next thing I know, I'm having people ask me, "Are you going to teach this?" So I started putting it together, and that's how I started creating the process that I teach now.
And HWA, what does it stand for? And tell us a little bit about, so you basically downloaded and channeled the entire thing, it sounds like.
Pieces at a time.
Little bits at a time. Yeah. And how long has this process been going on for?
I don't know. I've been doing this, I guess, for about 15 years. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
Dates kind of get beyond me, time.
Yeah, no, that's a chunk of time. That's a long time. So you've been doing the work. Wow. Yeah.
So HWA stands for Holistic Wellness Alignment.
Okay.
That was what I was told to use to call it for the time being.
Okay.
If you look online, I can't remember if I guess it was my email address that I had to misspell holistic because somebody already had it. So it's got 2 L's in it instead of 1.
It's funny.
But
okay.
The spirit told me this was a temporary thing. It's not something we're going to be using forever as far as the name.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and it keeps evolving. So
right.
I'm pretty sure it's going to evolve into something really awesome.
Yeah.
Name-wise included,
Yeah. Yeah. So what's the premise of it?
The premise of it is to remove trapped energies. And we use emotions because everything's frequency, and everything you're supposed to be removing out of your energy field is frequencies. Of course, vibration too, but certain frequencies. And we have an emotion chart. I actually use the one I use is mostly the same one that Best shared with me.
Okay.
There's a lot of other variations with it, but basically those are what I call the gateway emotions. So they cover a wide range of frequencies rather than just the frequency of that particular emotion. But because everything's frequency, we don't need to know all the other variables sometimes of what it is we're releasing. We just go to the emotion chart, find that frequency, and release it.
Yeah. And where did we get these emotions?
From experiences that you have encountered.
Do we bring some of them in, like prior to?
There's some.
Bring them?
Yeah, there are some. when I first started, there wasn't, they weren't guiding me in that direction. But then as it advanced and evolved, they've taken me to, I'm going to call it past lives. There's a lot of variations with that. The things that you pick up while you're in your mother's womb.
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole lot of variations with that, but most of it's pretty simple. Past life or something in this
Bring
lifetime.
you out. Yeah. I think homeopathy works a bit with stuff you picked up in the womb, because I work with a homeopath who, for my daughter, and she just not grilled me, but like not in a mean way, but like she just wanted to know every minutia about my pregnancy experience in order to treat my 6-year-old with a homeopathic remedy. So I think they go all the way back in that way as well, to think that whatever your imprint is, I guess, or whatever the word is, it starts there. And it's interesting because there's so much that happens when you're pregnant. There's so much that occurs. There's so many changes. There's fear for a lot of us. There's so many pressures, and I think about what happened in my experience with Willow. I had to do a lot of battling against like the hospitals that wanted to induce me, that were really pressuring for medications and things that I wasn't comfortable utilizing. I really had to battle to have the kind of birth that I felt that Willow and I wanted. And Willow does have an imprint that has, she's a warrior person. She has a lot of that, I'm going to fight this energy. But sometimes I wonder, did she come in with some of that herself? And I also wonder, like, what about the sperm energy? Like, what about that part of it? That's probably holds quite a bit before even, the conception occurs, or when the conception occurs. Like, there's probably energies and emotions, right, or that are being carried from that piece, I would assume, as well. And that, like, sort of ancestral line, and that stuff can be really powerful. And then combined with my own ancestral, and then the combination of that, and then the experience in the womb. And do you feel like it comes all the way back?
It does. But, it doesn't have to, I guess you could say, because it's not like everybody comes in with that kind of stuff, bad stuff. But I do know that
from trauma. My husband and I both come from trauma, and we come from lines of trauma and abuse and addictions. So
if you had tripped over an understanding that you create, and you had a handle on that when you got pregnant or before you got pregnant, and you understood the magnitude of the things you create and how you create, not to mention the power you have over your existence. So you could have, I guess you could use to make it simple, you could use the term, you could have intended not to carry anything over for this child.
Right.
From either of you, because you have that power. It's
Right.
just that we don't accept that because there's so many things in this world that are so physical, so we'll call it law if you want to go there,
Yeah, there's so much programming against that too. I mean, like, it doesn't even dawn on most of us to even have that, idea.
Right. Well, I know I tripped over this late in life, so it's not like I had that going on when I was younger either,
Yeah.
But I do know that I have worked on some autism with kids that has been caused by anger in the husband when he and his wife, or the mother, had sex.
Interesting.
So, you could almost view it like makeup sex, but it wasn't. It was like you trying to pacify him just to get through the night.
Yep. Like an abusive situation. I know what you mean. I mean, I haven't personally experienced that, but I have witnessed it.
Yep.
I know what you're talking about. Hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of things trapped.
And
that you
that's
have
where
no
you
clue.
found that the root came from. And then were you able to help them release that in order to help improve the condition of the child or change the condition of the child?
Absolutely. It
Yeah.
was mind blowing, actually.
Wow. Wow.
But there's a lot of things like that, you know.
Yeah. Are you finding that like almost that there's nothing, this is something that I keep coming back to. It's over the past 2 years in my own spiritual journey and growth and learning. Something that spirit has been hammering home is that there is nothing that we cannot shift. There is nothing that is more powerful than the technology of us. And no matter what it is, no matter what, and it all started for me with the like people are doing things to their body that they can't reverse and feeling desperate about that. And then spirit showing me over the past few years that anything can be shifted. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's been pretty interesting. The people that have come to me for help and the things we've shifted that had no clue we could even mess with,
Yeah. Things
So
that
that's
feel
kind of where my growth came from.
Yeah, that's amazing. It really is amazing. So how does it work? Like what I already know, obviously, because I get sessions from you, probably too much. But probably need to
I don't
chill.
know if you can do too much, truthfully,
What?
I don't know if you can do too much, truthfully. Financially, you probably could, but
Right, like, okay, calm down.
well, even the Palladians, when you ask them, how much time should I spend working on myself? They come back and say, you should work on yourself all the time. So,
Interesting.
yeah, think about that one.
So you're having galactic conversations regularly as well?
Occasionally, not a whole lot. Just periodically things pop up and I'll look into them. But
Mhm.
it's been interesting because the creator has been my sole go-to.
Right. I mean, it all rolls back to that anyway, in my opinion. That's the other thing that I've kind of come around to for the most part over the years. It's all just aspects of creator anyway, or God, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, I was raised Baptist, so I've kind of got that stuck in my head how they believe, and
Yeah.
and everything that I'm being guided to says it's way bigger than what they want you to follow.
Yeah.
And any of them, it doesn't matter if it's religion, it's man-made. Everything that I've been handed for doing this has been straight from the creator, not through people
Yeah.
who
Yep.
have a belief, and created something out of a belief. I'm constantly being told to release beliefs, and a lot of times I don't even need to know what the belief is, but periodically they'll literally take me to specific beliefs and say, you need to let that one go. That doesn't apply. They also said in the beginning that there's only possibly two beliefs that we humans have that are actually real. And I only got what one of them was. I didn't even dig in, but you think about it, out of all the beliefs that we have, and there's only possibly two that are actually real.
Well, what's the one that they told you?
The one was that you're going to die. That's pretty much it. Everything else it's all open. So we believe we're going to have a hard life. Well, we probably have one that's hard, but it doesn't have to be hard.
Yeah.
We believe we're going to whatever. I mean, it really doesn't matter what it is. But they're telling me the beliefs aren't real. So we've taken those on as we've gone along. And what I find interesting is how we take on a belief and then we run into something that challenges it, and that creates stress in our physical body, not to mention our mind, but that'll actually create stress in the physical body. And then we can't understand why we've got these issues, whatever it is. And it's really tough to actually look at your own stuff and go, oh, well, I've got that belief. Well, is that even real?
How could someone change their beliefs? Like, could they just say, I choose not to believe that anymore? Or what did they do?
Well, when you understand a lot of the beliefs are not what I'd call hardcore beliefs, they're just surface beliefs. And when you're working on yourself, you can actually intend to release any belief that's not serving you. That's
I
all
do
you got to do.
think,
Literally, that releases it. Releases a lot of them.
yeah,
But if you get specific ones, the thing that traps most of us, I've heard it all my life, money doesn't grow on trees. And that in itself carries a whole lot of weight in your world. It's more than just thinking, well, I'm not going to be able to go out in the front yard and pick money off my tree. It's way bigger than that.
right.
And when we take that on and we understand that, well, mom and dad said making money's hard, making a living's hard. So we take on all those beliefs that support that. And the biggest one is money doesn't grow on trees, or, whatever term they used to make you think that, or
No pain, no gain.
yeah, but without actually just saying we don't have finances for that, or we don't have money for that. They come up with some idiotic saying like, well, money doesn't grow on trees,
Right.
and then you turn that into all kinds of stuff as a kid.
Yeah.
But when you understand that making money doesn't have to be hard, if it was, we wouldn't have the millionaires and billionaires.
Right. So it's a belief. So people can just decide that it's easy to make money, and then.
Yeah, it's not always that easy. I've got a lady that I work with on part of her thing for the last 2 sessions has been finances. And we keep tripping over pieces of stuff that she's put in her head to make her feel like it's hard. It's really hard to make money.
Mhm.
And, even the concept of, well, if I make money and let's say I get rich, well, then all my relatives are going to want me to share with them. Or all my friends, they're going to expect me to pay for everything for them, or, all these things that people dream up that
Yeah.
feeds that problem. So it's like resistance to making money. Even if you lose the money doesn't grow on trees and you lose the belief of it's hard to make money,
Yeah.
you still have that resistance to it because of that concept of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to come steal it or take it, or, I won't be safe.
Or that people who have money are bad people. I think that's a big one too, especially in the light worker community. Like having money is demonized in a lot of ways. Like it's more, you're a better person if you don't have money. Like I think that's a thing,
Really?
Yeah.
The Baptist, well, I'm using them because I don't know any other.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember when I was in church years ago, I remember hearing money is the root of all evil, and that's
Right.
correct.
That one.
Money is
Yeah.
the root of all evil.
Yeah.
Money's what you make it. So, looking at that, well, how would you have your decent car that you can enjoy driving and going places? Even if you were just sharing the word, which is their thoughts.
Right. Right.
Well, money would be the root of all evil. Then that means that the vehicle that you're driving is bought with evil money.
Right.
So what's that make your car?
Right.
What does it make your clothes? What does it make the food you eat? All these pieces and parts that all interweave, and it's like, that's some crazy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And it really
personally, well, my personal opinion is people don't really think about what they say. We're so programmable.
Yeah.
We follow programs.
Yep.
And as this process that I'm going through, as it continues to evolve, one of the biggest things now at the level I'm at is removing programs and learning about your programming.
Yeah.
So there's just so much that we don't even think about. I mean, look at your clothes. How many of your clothes are handmade by you that are designed totally different than anything you see on the market? Most of us buy our clothes. Same way with shoes, same way with jewelry, same way with watches, same way with phones. It's like we just follow whatever we're programmed to use.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about fake authority, and I think any authority out there right now is fake. I don't care what they think.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the fact it's fake authority. Somebody gave you the authority to do something. That's fake authority.
Right.
The Creator didn't give it to you. It's not yours. And it doesn't matter how many people got together and handed it over.
Right.
It's still not real authority. And I sit back and look at people who, we've got cops who do some really nasty crap to people.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it is because they were told to.
Yeah.
So it's their job. Well, I dare you to come and tell me that it's my job to, do something negative to somebody that shouldn't have it happen.
Yeah.
Or even if they should. It's not my job to do that to them. Their judgment day, if you want to call it that, is coming.
Yeah.
When we get to the other side and we sit back and look at everything we've done, we'll understand. But, I'm sitting back looking at fake authority and all the garbage that goes on in this world because of fake authority. And it's crazy.
Yeah. People want to be told what to do.
Some want to be told what to do, and some want to be the ones telling what to do.
Yeah.
And you give them a little bit, it's like they always said, give them an inch and they take a mile. And there's so many that do that.
Yeah.
And there's no checks and balances that work. That's really sad. I look at our judges. You've got a judge that's doing some really crappy ruling, and we have no checks and balances to fix that. We're getting off target, but for topic, but it's still stuff that we can work on.
Yeah.
We still have
It's
power to go in and adjust energies, release negative energies, help people.
Mm-hmm.
This has a lot of potential.
I feel like the path to ascension, or the people talk about ascension all the time. And I
Right.
feel like the ascension journey is a journey to sovereignty. Like you were saying, like if the only authority is what I get from Creator or God, like, and there is no other authority. It's just my I am presence and that connection, and everything else is like a journey of separation that we're releasing by releasing whatever beliefs or programs or whatever it is along the way until we're kind of become more and more sovereign. That's kind of how I see it. And I think that's fake authority is very much related and relevant
It is.
to that journey, because that's where a lot of people get stuck.
Understanding that the negative vibration that we're in, all the negative things hold us down, and it actually makes us easier to program.
Yeah.
And how many times have you heard them talk about commercials? All you really got to do is see them like 3 times and they're embedded in your subconscious.
Yeah.
So they programmed you. They've learned how to program.
Yep.
There's just so much of that going on. It just boggles my mind
Yeah.
that we conform. That's really sad.
Yeah.
Conform out of fear, probably more than anything. But
So would you say that, like, as we each are releasing these beliefs, it's also helping the collective, because then there's less and less of that happening, and then it's less and less dense in the collective environment?
yeah, if it's nothing more, if all you can really look at, and you can't see the energy side, if all you can look at is the way we interact with other people because we've released that stuff, and they see a different reaction than what they expected.
Yeah.
Well, even that in and of itself raises the collective consciousness.
Right.
But we're also doing it from an energetic, and a vibrational standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I teach is if I adjust you and I clear you of a whole bunch of stuff and we raise your vibration, well, when you go back to your home, everybody in the house is affected by your vibration being higher.
Mm-hmm.
So if everybody in your house is affected, who else is affected? Everybody that you're in proximity of, that your energy reaches. And
Right.
when we're all one, when we're all actually one, does that mean we're not affecting everyone?
Right.
We
Right.
have to be on some level.
Right. Absolutely agree. So what is it like I'm trying to see if anyone's commenting. We've had people popping on and off which is great, but I'm trying to see if anyone's commenting or has questions while we're talking. Of course, I have enough questions for everyone, so that's great, always. So what does the session look like? Yeah, there's 3 comments with you. Oh, yes. Hi, everyone that's here. Hi, Caitlin. She says, I'm changing my mission. I'm interested in professional financial management, death planning regarding our possessions and money. Interesting. Okay. What does the session look like with you?
Well, it depends on which session we do. If we do one in person, I basically sit at your feet. You sit back in a reclined position, and I'm asking questions in my head. They go into my energy field, they go to your energy field, and they come back as a physical leg length change. That's something I learned through best. That's a quick and easy way for me to get confirmation that the downloading that I'm getting is correct.
Okay.
So basically, you're going to sit in front of me. I'm going to have you, once they give me what it is that we need to work on, I'm going to give you a feeling or an emotion to release. Usually it's a feeling to go look at.
Mm-hmm.
And the feeling that, like if I tell you, let's say, can you find the feeling of busted love? Well, ordinarily, as soon as I mention that, your head automatically goes somewhere. Sometimes depending on how your mind works, you may have to think a little bit, but most of the time, the first thing that pops in your head is the feeling that we're needing to get out of your energy, because that's just the way our system works. I have you look at it. Sometimes I have you feel it in your body, depending on what I'm told you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I have you look away from it most of the time, and I start neutralizing the charge of the emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you're releasing a feeling, the way I'm trained in this by spirit is that feelings are made up of emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to follow the flow chart, let's say you only take my level 1 and it gives you how to go through and release emotions one at a time. You could release a feeling, but it may be 2 different emotions or it may be 30. It just depends on you and how you put all that stuff together when you were thinking about things.
Okay.
But when I'm sitting in front of you, I'm pulling the negative energies out, the negative charge.
Okay.
And more often than not, you'll look at it. The first time I have you go back and look at it, it'll be half gone. The charge will be half gone. And
Mm-hmm.
then we keep reducing it down until it's somewhere 3 or less. Spirit likes a 4. I like to see at least a 3.
Yeah.
And many times, depending on how seasoned you are with working with me, many times I hear, well, I can't find it. So it's basically eradicated. So that's what I call disconnect. So we have reached disconnect.
Nice.
And at that point, your body is not mimicking that energy anymore, creating whatever it was creating for you.
Okay. Two people's questions. One, someone's asking where you're located physically, and someone else is asking you if you do virtual, which you definitely do, because that's all we've ever done. But you're gonna probably tackle that next. But are you in Knoxville? Is that where you are?
I'm in Rogersville.
Rogersville, Tennessee.
Yeah, it's like an hour and a half, basically north of Knoxville.
Okay.
Depending on which side of Knoxville you're on.
Okay.
Hour.
So that's an in-person session, and then virtual sessions. How does that work instead?
Ordinarily, virtual sessions, I'll take an additional 10 minutes or something and loosely explain what we're doing. And from there, I'll just, I want to talk to you just a little bit to get a feel for what it is you're hoping to achieve. So if you've got a physical issue you're hoping to eradicate, then, make sure that that comes out, because spirit is lining us up with the information for me to help you release that. And spirit, while spirit, if we don't even talk, most of the time spirit will knock out a lot of what you're wanting dealt with. But you have to understand that spirit has a totally different perspective on our existence than we do, and they see everything. So you may have 2 or 3 feelings trapped in your energy field that need to go away in order for you to actually grow spiritually, and that's what they see coming. But your complaint is your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, your back, whatever it is, and that's more important for you, and nothing wrong with that. It's just we will work on whatever it is that you're hoping to achieve, because that's why you came to me. And I'll do as much as I can of what spirit will allow me to get out of your energy field to help you move forward with whatever it is you plan to come here and do in the first place. That's usually the way that works.
That makes sense.
but it's the same process as when I'm sitting at your feet. There's just no physical connection.
Okay. I've always wondered, like, what is your clearing process like virtually when you're working? And I know we've gotten to the point where sometimes I can just text you like what's going on. And then we both kind of noticed, and you mentioned it to me, like, seems like as soon as you text, it starts to get better
Mhm.
before I even respond to you.
Yeah.
And that's probably my belief that,
Well, it's not totally belief, but there's that combination of what to expect in your faith in what we're doing.
yeah,
So it's kind of in the belief realm, but your
right,
faith in what we're doing and knowing that it can work opens some hellaciously big doors
right,
that ordinarily wouldn't be open.
right,
But yeah, I've had quite a few people, they'll just text me and then of course, you don't realize that as soon as I see a text from you, I've already connected and done
right,
some things. But
right.
to look into it in depth, that's different. So sometimes things can literally just go away as soon as you text, almost instantaneous, not quite, but almost.
Right.
But
Yeah.
when I sit down and work on it, then I have to literally go in and try to see what they show me is going on with you that I can help you eradicate.
Yeah. Um, and I've heard, like, so I had this, I had this one chronic issue, right, that you've helped me with throughout a year or so's time now. Um, I'm gonna say I had it because I think that's a better belief.
Hmm.
I no longer claim it. Um, and I remember there was like a period of time when it was like very persistent, and it would I'd keep coming back, like, still happening, it's happening again, it's really bad, it's happening again. And then finally it dissipated, it released. And you were like, I guess there were just things that you weren't ready to release yet. So do you want
Yeah,
to speak on that a little bit?
I don't usually ask as far as why it's still there. I usually just get what's next because that's all I can do anyway, really.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what you said in the beginning when you were describing this whole concept. The more, it's kind of like the more information I give you, the more you have to run around in your head with.
Right.
It's not necessary,
Yep.
but the way I see yours is there were multiple trigger points and we couldn't get all the trigger points at once because
Mm-hmm.
you weren't ready to heal from all of them. That's a whole nother thing. They take me as far as, the way I understand it, as far as you're capable of healing without, I want to use the term crashing and burning.
Yep.
So we don't want to make you sick when you've
Right.
already got issues. I mean, that's kind of
Right.
detrimental, I think.
Right.
But it doesn't change the facts that we do everything we can. And as I've grown, I've been able to go in and instill, I'm going to call it extra healing capabilities as we go.
Okay.
So I can help allow you to heal more so you get to release more.
Mm-hmm.
It's still not to the point of, so let's just heal that. You don't need that. Let's just heal that. I'm still growing, but who knows where it's going to go. But
Mm.
everything I've been told is it's moving in the direction of basically just looking at an issue for somebody and just healing it and it being
Yeah.
done.
Like
And
instantaneously.
mhm. Yeah, it's been really interesting watching the way it's all flowed. I was raised, like I said, I was raised Baptist, so there's all these Jesus things floating around in there, and
Yeah.
I remember comments that that he supposedly made, and one of his, when he was supposedly is in front of a crowd and doing stuff, he's asking them, "Why are you in awe of what I do? You can do this and so much more."
Yep.
So that's kind of where we're at as a
Yep.
society now. We're all moving in that direction. It's not just me,
Right.
but
I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
well, one of the things that I've been told is I blaze the trail,
Yeah.
at least for the people who are following me. I'm blazing the trail so they don't have to.
Yeah.
And I know it has been a battle. to get where I'm at. For me, it has been a battle. So I'm able to just basically hand that over to people now instead of them having to battle like I did to get there. And I find that just awesome. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of, I'm kind of envious of that whole thing because I've worked so dang hard to learn the things that I've learned and to grow on the rate I've grown, and I
Mm.
can just hand it off to people. It's like, that's crazy. It's cool, but it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thanks for
You're
doing
welcome.
it.
Yeah, I've heard that from a few people.
I
I have
definitely
buddies tell me,
learn from you. I definitely like learn in getting receiving sessions from you. I take some of it and use it in my healing sessions. And I feel like I have, I feel like that's your intention. It's okay to do that. And of course refer tons of people to you as well. Because you've helped me so much. I feel like most of your business has been a word of mouth growth, right? I mean, just
pretty much.
yeah, everyone's referring people to you because you're so effective and so helpful. Um, and really holding the space too in a real right, because you don't get emotional. I would say I think there's a really like a grounding, or you don't go into that stuff that can get you spun up. I think it really helps, like the unattachment on the client's part.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I think you bring that frequency into it, and that really helps it work better, even better.
Yeah, I try to actually get people to not go deep into that crap and don't tell me about it unless it's something I need to
Like,
know.
that's enough. Yeah.
Well, uh, Dr. Mortar, he's the one that came up with best, and he made the comment one time to somebody. He said, "If you tell me your stuff, I got to tell you mine."
Yeah.
And that's not the way I see it. But the reality is, if you're sharing that story, you're probably going to get more emotionally attached.
Right.
And why feed the problem? And it's not necessary for us to go there.
Yeah.
So,
No, I
and
remember doing one time we did a couple sessions, my husband and I remember you were like asking me to remove, or him to remove, or both of us to remove certain, or like to locate different feelings. And I remember him being like, is that how you feel? Is that how you make me feel? Is that how I make you feel? You have that feeling? Like, what's up with that? When did that happen? Can you pinpoint a time that happened? I was like, oh my goodness, like, that's not how this works. Cut it out. Like,
exactly.
that's what we're doing here.
Exactly. Well, I've worked with a
Therapy,
couple.
okay? Just
I've
remove it.
worked with a handful of. I've worked with a handful of couples who they're, for the most part, everybody's pretty good about just following it. But if you understand, chances are slim that you married your childhood sweetheart and that we're sitting and doing a session today with that same person.
Yeah.
Very rare that that's the case. You've usually had 2 or 3 or 30 different
Sure.
relationships by the time we're here.
Mm-hmm.
And when you understand that you bring crap from your past relationships, it's like expectations into the new ones, or the
Right.
latest, whatever,
You're
because
creative.
you're programmed now and
Right.
you don't understand that.
Right.
So there's I've worked with quite a few that we've literally gone in and neutralized out stuff like that. And when we're done, they're sitting back going, well, I don't feel like I feel more like magnetically attracted to this person now than I was before we did the session. So it's like we took a bunch of that negative energy out that they didn't even realize was in there. And none of what we released was about their relationship. It
Right.
was showing up in their relationship.
Right. Like, it had become about their relationship because they created it with the things that they brought in.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Talking about creating, I worked with a guy once that was having trouble. He was doing energy work himself, learning, growing, whatnot. And one of his things, he was talking about dragons and gods and goddesses. And, he come up with all these names for all these entities, I'm going to call them, beings, things.
Mm-hmm.
We're messing with him. And he would constantly hit me with, "Oh my God, can you help? I'm dealing with, whatever." And he would always throw out those dragons and the gods and the goddesses and, all that. And I was sitting and looking at it one day and I'm thinking, okay, there's got to be a source for all this. What is this? Because I don't have that in my world. And I was reminded that we're all creators. And when I went back to him, I said, I want you to look at this. For one, the energies you're calling dragons are not dragons. And they weren't real until you created them. So he's reached this point of needing a battle.
So they
So
were
in order to do what?
they were bad dragons, scary dragons.
Yeah. And
Uh-huh.
in his mind, he needed to battle them.
Mm-hmm.
Same way with the gods, same with the goddesses. And I can't even name the other things that he threw out there. It was just kind of, you'd have to look up a fairy tale book or something. I don't even know
Yeah.
where you'd find those. But anyhow, that whole picture, I'm sitting back going, none of that is even real. So when I finally got him on the page of this, he no longer had to battle them.
Mm-hmm.
And he never came to me with that stuff anymore. So, understanding that a lot of the things that we deal with are our beliefs of what is or what could be or what should be. So it goes back to that belief thing.
Yep.
So always look back at what you're dealing with and go, is that even real? Is that my programming that has made that part of my existence not an actual reality? So just saying, that's
So
kind of huge, I think.
yeah, I think it is too. I think that there's a whole nother interview we could have with that. But we have a few more minutes left, so I have one more question. And that's one of the things that a lot of times I hear you releasing is negative alien interference and bolstering or supporting security. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, is that something that's not, I mean, could you say that that's not real and that's being created?
Well, the alien thing is real. That's just, that's just a term. Keep in mind that they had to give me terms that we could all relate to for the energies. And my understanding is there are a lot of civilizations, whatever you want to call them, out there besides Earth. There's a lot of planets with civilizations on them,
Yeah.
life forms. And a lot of them are just energy life forms too. So there's not even the physical binder. But
Right.
when we understand that the spiritual world is a lot like the human world, it was created by the same entity, the same creator, whatever. All of this was created from, I want to go as far as say a pattern, but when you recognize that those energies are there and they are a constant, then it's really not that big a deal to understand they could be messing with you. But the thing that I push is the fact that nothing can mess with us if we don't allow it, per se.
Yep.
Well, when you think about something as simple as the hatred out on the highway. When you understand that you can't fix those people and they're creators just like you are.
Mm-hmm.
So their capability of creating negative energies and throwing them at you because they feel like you blocked them or you cut them off or you're going too slow or you're going too fast or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
you can't block that energy. I hear people all the time talking about creating protection, and everything that I'm being told is there's no such thing as protection. That's not even a reality, but it's also not a necessity. When you understand people's energies on you, you can't protect yourself from them anyway, because they're creators just like we are.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that you're not subject to their energies. So what I find is when somebody puts a negative thought on you, all you got to do is just shrug it off. But you have to know it's there to shrug it off,
Mm-hmm.
which goes back to being tuned into your spirituality. The same thing with protection. when you think you need protection, you're living in fear, for one.
Right.
But on the other side of that coin, everything I understand is the more you get out of your energy, the more your natural protection is in power.
Right.
So it's like you don't need all that fake, well, I'm going to stand in the blue light or the white light or, whatever it is. All of that is in your head. It's a belief.
Right.
Realistically, your white light, get your crap out of it that you put in it over your lifetime
Mm-hmm.
and anything that you've carried with you.
Right. And then you're
And you are white
transmutative,
light.
right? You're transmutative. You're able to dissolve whatever's coming your way
You can
because
take care of a lot of it
you're the
simply.
light. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can literally intend to transmute, and there's a lot of it you can get off.
Yep.
But there are those things, like if, let's say you tick me off and I decide to throw a curse at you or a spell
Right.
or a hex, whatever,
Yep.
that's something that you have to literally find and remove.
Yeah.
The problem is people make that difficult, and it's really not. I've heard people say, well, you can't remove the curse somebody puts on you. Oh, yes, you can.
Yeah.
They don't have power over you unless you give them power.
It's not, yeah, if you're sovereign, you can do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you mean then when you say you enhance security? Isn't that like a type of protection?
Well, see, when I'm enhancing what I call enhancing security, your security is self-securing. So it's like, let's say you have a fence around the border of your property, but you never maintain it. And that's basically what your aura is about. So if you're not maintaining it, it can get broken through or walked through or climbed over, whatever. And the emotions that you are carrying are actually designed to come to the surface so that you can release them. And
Right.
if you don't release them, that actually leaves access. That's kind of like leaving a hole in your fence.
Okay.
So realistically, once you get that hole off your fence, the fence goes back to being whole again. Not a hole, but whole.
Right.
And it's your protection.
I see.
So that's what we're doing when we enhance security, is we go in and we improve the stuff that we're getting off of you. So let's say that the stuff on the surface is literally sitting on the surface like dust on a table. But what about that stuff that's been sitting there long enough that the humidity has come along and made it stick? And then what about the surface underneath it? Let's say it's sitting on some kind of varnish or something that has deteriorated with time, and now it's binding into that in a way that it normally couldn't. So looking at it from a physical level, we're going to go in our energy field and we're going to go deeper and deeper and deeper into that sort of thing so that that stuff can't just come to the surface tomorrow. It'll take it a few days. That's usually what I get, is we've got an extra 4 or 5 days of being clean to where we can't be accessed from the outside by the spiritual realm. And the spiritual realm is what I call the school. They were put there for our growth, not to mess with us, to be a pain in the butt or whatever. They're literally there to keep us moving. So once you start growing, the spiritual realm becomes a little more obvious, and they start messing with you more often because they're showing you things that you need to get rid of that you don't realize you have in your energy field. You can't recognize them any other way, if that makes sense.
It does.
Think about all the emotional crap.
Yeah.
I worked with a lady not long ago that she was having a lot of depression and numerous other things. And she's got 2 kids. And one of the things with that was not feeling like, entertaining the kids or taking care of them. It's really a struggle. And when I went in to see what was going on, I heard the word, I just lost it, where she lost her child.
Miscarriage.
Miscarriage. I heard miscarriage. And I'm thinking, well, that's interesting. So I looked into that, and then I contacted her husband, and because he's the one who had me working on her. And I said, what's the chances that she had a miscarriage during this? And he said, oh yeah, actually a chemically induced miscarriage. There must have been something going on. But anyhow, when I went back in and worked on it from that perspective, it's like there was all kinds of things to work on for her and the child that came after that, not the one before.
Huh?
The one that came after had lost a sister or brother and was literally connected somehow because he was, I guess, part of the energies that she was carrying from the miscarriage. But anyhow, we cleared all that up, and she sent me a text the next day. She's like, "Oh my God, what a difference!" And I'm thinking, well, that was cool.
Yeah.
But, you never know. You never really know what's lingering in there. But we don't really think about that. These idiots that want to stand there and tell you, and I say idiots because I really feel like they are not thinking. When they stand there and tell you, "Oh well, you can always try again. You can have another one," whatever. Instead of helping you, I want to say, helping you guide through this loss that you had, they're trying to get you to just ignore it, act like it didn't happen, and move on.
That's programming
Mm.
too, right? It's like everyone's so
Yeah.
uncomfortable with like processing their emotions or showing their emotions.
Yeah.
So, grief is really like something people carry like a dark secret in a lot of ways, whatever the grief is, because it's
Yeah,
like,
most people carry it. They
yeah,
don't do
like
real
in our
well at just
society,
letting
it's
go.
like, you get a little window and then it's kind of like move on, you
Yep.
know. So be
Yeah,
brave.
it's pretty wild.
Yeah. So yeah, it's really important. It's important to like have our emotions, but at the same time, like, you know, we have to have them to release them, but then we don't want them to turn into beliefs that create more of the same.
Right.
So there's that.
And hopefully you're able to learn through your experiences and help other people the right way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people say, well, that gives me a whole new way of looking at things. And if I had that same experience, I wouldn't carry it the same way.
Right.
And if they wouldn't carry it the same way, they wouldn't help others the same way they had been helped. They'd do it the right way or better way, at least.
Right. Yeah. Um, Is there anything else you want to share with us? It's been awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the group? We've had a lot of people pop on, not a lot of questions though, which is great. I think everyone's just listening and kind of absorbing. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up? Do you want to tell people how and where to find you so that they can work with you?
Well, I'm online at thatenergyguy.com.
Okay.
I've also got a Facebook page, That Energy Guy. That's the best way I know, really.
Okay.
Kind of follow through that. And one of the biggest things that I would share with people is learn to not carry your feelings on your shoulders, because that's where most of us get caught up in stuff. We think everything is about us. And when people lash out at us, we think it's us.
Everything's personal.
And
Yeah.
it's always, and I say always, it's always the person that does it.
Yeah.
Even if they had a reason, it's always the person that does it.
Yeah. I got to agree.
And, they might have had a reason in their own mind, but more often than not, we get caught up in assumptions and we assume what's going to happen, even, which is still carrying your feelings on your shoulders, expecting the worst or expecting crap. How many times have you ever sit and worried about something on a really big level, and then when you went through the experience, it didn't happen anything like all the things that you thought? So that in itself ought to be enough for most people to sit back and go, "Oh, I need to rethink this wheel,"
Yeah.
not put myself through all that.
Yeah.
But I think the world's eat up with blaming other people for our own garbage.
Yeah.
And that in itself doesn't fix anything. And it creates a lot. It literally does.
Yeah, the world would really change if everybody just focused on their own healing, their own stuff, because it would help everyone and it would help, like we were talking about before, all the interactions,
Yeah,
So
learn compassion. Compassion for the things you don't know.
I think when we choose not to take things personally, it's really easy to have compassion because, we're not feeling like, oh, I'm wounded, you hurt me. It's more like, wow, they're going through something. They're
Right.
they're experiencing something that doesn't feel good.
And even if it doesn't bring compassion, it leaves the door open for it.
Right. You know, but I think a lot of times people have to learn to take care of themselves. I feel like there's a lot of programming to like not take care of yourself. Like I think one of the biggest programs is, and I think it's getting stronger and stronger out there. There's more and more like programs being pressed to destroy yourself out there in society in multiple different ways. And I feel like we're so programmed to hate ourselves or to not take care of ourselves, to not love ourselves in a really real way, that it then is what we create outward.
Well, we were taught as kids even not to be self-centered, selfish.
Right.
And we were taught that to the point that we go completely the other way now. So now we will put ourselves completely on the back burner, worrying about everybody's everything instead of letting everybody worry about their own everything.
Right.
And just help them when you can.
Yeah.
But we literally do it to our own detriment.
Right. It's really gotten extreme. To even, you think about the pushback in the world to, want to eat healthy or take care of your body or, choose your own, have your own health choices, whatever, there's actually like a lot of pushback about that, name calling and so forth, just if that's something you want to do for yourself. And that's crazy to me. It's like hard to believe. But it's at that level. And
it's hard to get people to think. We tend to react instead of thinking. That definitely doesn't help that situation.
Right. So I think, if we can all just keep focusing on how we can be love, like ourselves, then that will keep growing, because that will keep being reflected outward. And that will be how we receive interactions more, as that's the frequency we're sharing. And will also be how other people receive us. And it will also be how the collective grows.
Yep. And it's definitely changing. I feel like the collective is moving in the right direction. It's just mighty slow, but people are kind of slow to change. We don't like change.
Right. It's scary for people.
Yeah. It's scary for a lot of people.
Sovereignty.
Me,
scary.
I don't like stagnancy. I don't like for things to stagnate.
I feel like sovereignty is scary for people. Like I was saying before, people want a manual. They want people to tell them how they're supposed to be, what to wear, what to do, what to think, what to do, how to take care of themselves or not take care of themselves, and all of these things. And everybody wants someone else to tell them. And so it's scary to think that you're just going to get that straight from creator or source or God, instead of everybody else giving you that information. Everybody wants a manual for life.
Yeah. Well, we try to follow, and I find it interesting, this is the case, but we try to follow examples. And what's really interesting is how many examples that are wrong.
Right.
Somebody standing there telling you how you should invest your money, and if you look into their financials, they're broke. They're depending on you wanting to pay them for this information.
There's a lot of that out there, right?
Yeah, there's so much of that out there. It's crazy. But
and we will kind of fall for it. We kind of fall for it, like, oh, this person's the expert. This person is the authority. False authority. So there is no other authority. Yep. So, well, let's leave it at that, because I think that's a nice thing to end on. Just everybody put that in your pipe and smoke it, and see what you come up with. So thank you all for listening, and thank you so much for being here. Check out David, get sessions from him, learn from him. It's amazing. I'm waiting for you to do some fancy online trainings. I'll be there.
We'll see what we come up with.
I'm not coming to Tennessee, but
yeah, I hear you.
But when you're putting it online, I'm interested, right?
Sure.
All right. Thank you so much for all that you do. And thank you for spending this time with me. And I'm sure I'll be texting you sooner than later.
All right.
Take care.
You too.
Bye.